these guys might not be as good as you remember. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. And today I'm coming at you with Ash's top 10 most overrated Pokemon. Now I've already done his top 10 most underrated Pokemon, so make sure you check out that video too if you haven't. But before we get started with this video here today, remember, this is only my opinion. I'll be making this list mostly based on battle record and overall power. Things like development and nostalgia will not play a major factor in today's video. Finally, before we begin, make sure you use 10 million volt Thunderbolt on that subscribe button. Alright then, let's not waste any time and let's get into it. Alright, coming in at number 10, we have Squirtle. Alright, put the pitchforks down. Believe me, I think Squirtle's awesome too. I mean, he's basically the leader of the Pokemon world's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's sick. And yes, I know he's one of Ash's oldest and most iconic Pokemon, but when compared to other members of Ash's original Kanto Big Four, Squirtle's the least impressive. They did Squirtle so dirty in the Kanto League. Like, check out how he loses here to Richie's Butterfree.
Bruh.
Yeah. Luckily, they redeemed him in the Orange Islands and in the Johto League. And of course, he performed very well in the Battle Frontier against Brandon when it took down his speedy Ninjask. Overall though, Squirtle is still very great and iconic, and that's why he's so low on this list. However, he just isn't in the same league as Ash's Bulbasaur and Charizard. But I am very excited for Squirtle to make his much anticipated return in the Aim to be a Master Pokemon miniseries. Coming in at number 9, we have another surprising and controversial pick, Crocodile. Yes, Crocodile is undoubtedly Ash's best Unova Pokemon, but like how impressive even is that? It's like being the principal of a homeschool. But don't get me wrong, I love Crocodile. I even used one in my White 2 playthrough with Moxie, and he was a beast. But as far as Ash's Crocodile, he suffers from one major flaw. And that is, he was heavily underused. Yup, in Ash's biggest battle in the Unova region, he was unused. Instead, Ash used mons like Snivy and Unpheasant against a powerful 5 Pokemon using Cameron. Yeah, Ash definitely deserved to lose this one. So overall, I still love Crocodile, yes. He's powerful, yes. He's the Unova ace, yes. And he's got some awesome sunglasses, yes. The only problem with this Croc is he was underused by stupid black and white Ash. Now on to number 8. We have one of Ash's weirdest and most inconsistent Pokemon, Tauros. Now for me as a kid, I only ever watched the dub of the Pokemon anime because I was a kid in the 2000s. I didn't know anything about subs or dubs or even really the internet. So anyway, as you probably know, Ash's Tauros was caught in a banned episode that never made it over to US soil. And he actually caught 30 of them. So yeah, anyway, one day this Tauros just appears on my screen and I was like, okay, new Pokemon? So when Ash would battle with him, he never really did anything too amazing either. So from a battling perspective, Tauros has taken part in a couple big battles. It was able to defeat Drake's Venusaur in the Orange Islands, but then it got bodied by Gary's Nidoqueen. Then later on in the Battle Frontier arc, he got bodied by Alakazam. Now the main problem with this Tauros is that Ash doesn't really use him correctly. What I mean is, Tauros definitely has some raw power and potential. However, Ash doesn't really train them. He just calls one of them up for big battles and hopes that it can perform at a high level, which honestly is just unfair to Tauros. Also, one thing that's super unclear is that if Ash uses one specific Tauros of the 30 he possesses, or if he just picks a random one for each battle. So many questions about the bull. Coming in at the number 7 spot, we have Muck. Muck shares a lot of the same problems that Tauros has. Both these Pokemon love to smother Ash when they reunite with him, both were caught very late into the Kanto journey, and both received very little training and were still expected to perform well in major battles. And you know what? Maybe we could just chop that up to original series Ash being a bad trainer. But yes, of course, we all know about Muck's iconic save against Janet's OP Bellsprout. And yeah, that was great and all, but what else has Muck ever done? Yeah, that Bellsprout win is it. His battle record is literally 1-3, losing to Pikachu, a Magnemite, and Gary's Scizor. Now honestly, looking back, that record, it's pretty bad. Even worse than Tauros. At number 6, we have one of Ash's starter Pokemon, Totodile. Of all of Ash's many starter Pokemon, Totodile is probably the worst. Totodile's mostly just there to be a comic relief Pokemon, and looking back, he's heavily overshadowed by Ash's other water starters. He's not the original gangster that Squirtle is, and he's definitely not as powerful as Greninja is. And honestly, he's not even as funny as Oshawott. He's also the least memorable and least powerful of any of Ash's Johto starters. Like Bayleaf, she beat a Houndoom, and an Arcanine in a race. And Cyndaquil, he beat a freaking Steelix. And then there's Totodile. He did defeat a Charizard, however it was a rented one used by Jesse, so how impressive even is that? Other than that, his big win was against a Sneasel, who he had already previously lost to. Since then, Totodile hasn't done anything. Ash had never even really reconsidered bringing him back for any arcs like the Battle Frontier or Sinnoh League, because he has very little to offer, other than some yucks and giggles. I'm sorry, Totodile, but little me still found you to be hilarious, though. From one starter to the next, at number 5 we have Torterra. Torterra. Buddy, you had so much potential. As a Turtwig, you were a freaking beast. I mean, one of your first battles ever, you took down a freaking Rampardos. Then you teamed up with Chimchar to beat a Zangoose and a Metagross? Yo! But then, you evolved. Yeah, isn't that crazy? Turtwig is probably the only Pokemon that ever got worse when he evolved. Well, maybe not. But yes, as a Turtwig, he relied heavily on his speed and quickness to dodge enemy attacks and maneuver the battlefield. But then, once he became a thick boy Grottle, almost all of his speed and elusiveness was lost. It wasn't all bad as a Grottle, though. I mean, he almost beat Frontier Brain Palmer's Rhyperior, but that's where the good ends for this grass starter. He lost so many battles, including one to Dawn's newly hatched Cyndaquil. Then, once he became a Torterra, he became a full-time jobber, taking L after L. I personally thought he would get a redemption battle against Paul by either taking down his Drapion or, I don't know, his Torterra, which he didn't even use in his battle with Ash. Torterra just had a really rough role in the anime, coming off the heels of one of Ash's best ever Pokemon period in Sceptile, then having to take a backseat to one of Ash's best ever Pokemon period in Infernape. Now, Torterra's just a place for Ash's bird Pokemon to chill on. It's always sad to see a Pokemon go from possible ace to full-time jobber. Oh, and speaking of, at number 4, we have Goodra. Yes, I know at one point in time Goodra was Ash's best ever Pokemon. Trust me, we've all seen the graphic. About halfway through the XY Kalos anime, Goodra was tearing opponents apart. But then she left Ash's team to go protect her swampland. But then, during the Kalos League when Ash needed a full team of 6, Goodra made what was looking to be her triumphant return. But you know how that went. Now the reason why Goodra is so overrated is almost entirely because of the X and Y fanboys. You know, the ones who think that series is far and away the best and are constantly talking about it. But yeah, I mean Goodra was hyped up to be the ace of Kalos. She was even the first pseudo-legendary Ash ever captured, and her battling prowess was astonishing, but she fell off hard. Flying into the number 3 spot, we have Ash's Johto regional bird, Noctowl. Now hold on, I want you to think back for a second here. Name anything special about Noctowl, and I can almost guarantee the only thing you said is that it's shiny. Unfortunately, Noctowl suffers from a similar fate that all of Ash's Johto Pokemon suffer from, being underused. In Johto, Ash pretty much relied on his older Kanto Pokemon for the big battles. Look no further than Ash's gym battle with Claire. In his first match against her, he used Noctowl against her Kingdra. The Kingdra bodied Noctowl and Ash lost his first attempt against Claire. Then Ash was like, okay, forget Noctowl. I'm using Snorlax and Charizard in the rematch. Then, later on in the Johto League, Ash used Noctowl in only one battle. And he got one shot. Poor Noctowl. So unremarkable besides from just your appearance. You were another Pokemon Ash didn't even consider bringing back for the Battle Frontier. However, I'll give you some credit. Noctowl performed well in his return in the Sinnoh League by defeating Conway's Licky Licky. Coming in at the penultimate spot, we have Noivern. Noivern. So much potential for you, buddy. You were the baby of the Kalos team, but once you evolved, things started to look up for you. I mean, right upon evolution, you went toe-to-toe with the legendary bird Zapdos. And then, you did nothing. I mean, Noivern, the best thing you did all series was tie Sawyer's Salamence. Everything else was just L after L. Maybe it's because you had to take a major backseat to the Ninja Frog at the end of the XY anime. But recently, in the Aim to be a Pokemon Master series, you performed quite well against Team Rocket. But honestly, is that even very impressive? And now, at number 1, we have Ash's Staraptor. Yes, I know, surprising. But guys, Staraptor is not that good. Starly was Ash's first capture in the Sinnoh region, and during the early days he performed quite well as a Starly and Staravia. Then the series continued, and Staraptor just stayed the same. He never improved. Many fans think Staraptor is quite powerful and on the level of other regional birds like Talonflame or Swellow, but I'm here to tell you, he's not. Staraptor is cool, but just not all that good in battle. Ash used him less and less towards the end of the Diamond and Pearl series, and he went out in a very unimpressive way against Paul in the Sinnoh League. Well guys, that's gonna do it for today's video. I know I had a ton of fun making this video, but I am dying to hear what you guys think of it. Do you guys agree with this list? Comment any changes you would make below. Thanks guys.